Welcome to Media Melanie Talks TV. I'm Melanie, and today I'm back to talk about Silo on Apple TV+, Season 2, Episode 7, called The Dive. Hey Silo Siri, how many more episodes do we have left in this season? Well, there are only 3, so the clock is ticking. But we finally did have some things happening in this episode, which was delightful to see. First of all, we found out the origin of the silos is about 352 years. We saw inside of the vault in Silo 18, which revealed a pristine setting with comfortable bed, great food, lots of books and relics, all about the origins of humanity. But most importantly, we got what looks to be an iPad with some artificial intelligence woven into it. Using this technology, Lukas was able to discern that the cipher is actually a numeric cipher, and it's tied to page 77 of a book. Naturally, Bernard comes to the conclusion it's got to be The Wizard of Oz, because that was a book that Meadows had in her possession. When I initially Googled page 77 of The Wizard of Oz, it looked as if that's when Dorothy's house is flying through the tornado before she actually lands in Oz. Doing a little bit more research, I was able to find a public domain copy of The Wizard of Oz with page 77 spelled out. So I'm going to drop a link down in the video comments so you can click over and actually read it. But essentially, it is the Wizard of Oz crew, Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Lion, and the Scarecrow, trying to cross an obstacle. The Lion eventually figures out that they might be able to cross it by him jumping across. So I don't actually think the context of the content on page 77 is what's important. It's more about the decoding of this cipher that Salvador Quinn wrote years ago after the rebellion. But the big question is, what information is decoded? What was so big that Meadows gave up her job with Bernard? What is so big that Bernard doesn't know but needs to find out? Is it the actual origin of the silos themselves and what humanity did in order to even need the silos in the first place? Could it have to do with what happened during the rebellion? Something I keep going back to is the fact that it was revealed there is a drug that can erase people's memories. Did something happen during that time where they actually had to drug the entire population of the silo to forget, and the only evidence left is whatever this cipher is in Salvador Quinn's letter? It's interesting because with The Wizard of Oz, yes, we had seen references of this before, and the big picture, of course, is the man behind the curtain, this big fraud, which I think we all think is Bernard, but I've got to think there's a bigger picture at play. What if there is some big overseer? This is something we've been talking about, the big boss of all the silos. When Juliette first came to the surface this season, we saw her looking in the distance at this big city. What if the city in the distance is the Oz, and there is a yellow brick road, if you will, for people to follow to get there? It does seem like if there is a voyage to the city, it will be far off because we still have a couple of seasons to go. And most importantly right now is getting Juliette back to her own silo, which does seem like it will be more of a tunnel situation underground versus on the surface voyage on this alleged yellow brick road to get to whoever this big overseer of everything is. I thought with the dive this episode that maybe we would get some tunnel content, but I don't think Juliette went far enough down to actually get to any of the tunnels. And it seems like the purpose of this dive was obviously more to get the water draining, but also to let us know there's somebody else in Silo 17. And is it a coincidence there is an axe there? When Juliette gets back to the surface, of course, she realized her rope was cut. Solo isn't there anymore. There is an axe, which did not have blood on it, by the way. It appeared, so I don't know that that was used to attack Silo. It does seem like that was used to cut the rope. But what's up with the arrow? Is this other mysterious person in Silo 17 hiding behind walls and then shot Solo to disable him, came and chopped the rope, and then took Solo away? Where has this person been hiding? Given the camera angles we have seen throughout season 2, they've been giving us clues that yes, there is somebody else watching. At first, I was thinking, well, hey, maybe Solo had somebody hidden inside of the vault with him. And that's why he was so concerned with having to go back there. And then when he forgot the number, maybe somebody else got in and, I don't know, changed the code. I don't know that that's the case, but for whoever this other person is it someone who was originally part of the silo? Was it somebody who penetrated, came inside, and has just been hiding this whole entire time? Could it be another child that was trapped in the silo along with Solo? I don't understand how Solo could be there for so many years and not know this person was there, unless that's what he's been afraid of this entire time that's been causing this high level of anxiety for this person who's seemingly been alone for 30, 40 years. I am intrigued. And I also want to know why an axe. Are we tying this into the Wizard of Oz even more? The Tin Man obviously carried an axe with him. I think if we're looking for metaphorical comparisons, we can definitely compare Juliette to Dorothy. But the question becomes, is Solo the cowardly lion, or is he the scarecrow who doesn't have a brain? I've got to think the cowardly lion, because now that we know what's inside of the vaults, there's a lot of knowledge there. And Solo has been doing some reading. Clearly, he knew about the bends. Also, Juliette knew how to swim without ever having swam, which I thought to be kind of wild. But hey, she is the dystopian post-apocalyptic MacGyver, so as far as I'm concerned, my girl can do anything. Now back to The Wizard of Oz for a second. Are we 100% sure The Wizard of Oz is the book? Why would Salvador Quinn base this entire letter on a book that may not be common knowledge, unless he's only trying to make this message available to people who had the Wizard of Oz? Meadows had the Wizard of Oz, but who else had the book? And why would you rely on this one book that everyone didn't have access to? At first I thought, hey, maybe it's page 77 of that travel book, but I'm thinking, well, that's a kid's book, may not even have 77 pages. But how is it not related to the order or the pact or a document that everybody in the silo does have access to? In episode 8, it is called the Book of Quinn, and it is teased that Lukas is going to actually meet Salvador Quinn's descendants. Who are his descendants? How is he going to find them? Could it have to do with one of our lead characters if we're narrowing them down? I don't think that Shirley and Knox are descendants of Salvador Quinn. They're definitely in the down deep areas. Could it be somebody like a Walker or a McLean, who are both now kind of being locked away and played by Bernard? Is Bernard going to somehow find out that they are descendants of Quinn and use their relationship to somehow get this information so Lukas can decode this? I have so many questions, and I was really excited to see this episode actually start to unfold, because you know what? I've been getting a little bored of Silo 18. Yes, we had the Shirley and Knox kiss. Okay, that's fine. I will say that the gunpowder disbursement of the messages was pretty cool, but my favorite part about it, besides the visual, which was cool to look at, was when Billings said, hey, what's the message? That we're all insane down here? I thought that was great. And I am just loving that Billings is starting to be on the side of the people. He is investigating to really try to do the right thing. And I'm wondering, is he going to end up overtaking Bernard as the head of IT one day? It could be possible. I don't know if he has that nefarious nature about him that the head of IT clearly needs. Once Bernard figures out whatever this information is in Salvador Quinn's letter, will that impact his role as a leader? And will it affect him the same that it affected Meadows, which caused her to initially step back from her position as Bernard's shadow back in the day? And something else that's been kind of bothering me, I love Camille Sims. I like where the Sims storyline is going, where Camille is starting to be kind of a rebel and she's amping up her husband to regain his power back. When Sims calls Bernard Bernie, when Bernard comes up to talk about the warrant, I just about lost it. Common may not be the best actor that there is, but that line, calling him Bernie, I think he should call him Bernie for the remainder of the show, because you can see Bernard is like, do not call me Bernie, bro. In fact, Bernard completely lays into him and says, look, you might have been my shadow at some point, but you're not curious. I had to make somebody curious my shadow. But I think Lukas is going to be too curious, because he is very smart and he is going to uncover this information. And yes, Bernard could always threaten him with sending him back to the mines, but I can also see Lukas emerging as some kind of a threat. And who knows, maybe he even partners with somebody like Sims, or I don't know, somebody else, maybe Billings, who knows? Maybe Juliette comes back and somehow Juliette gets to talk to Lukas. They uncover all of this information, and Bernard is the one who's overthrown. I don't know, but something is afoot. And with only 3 episodes left, there's not a lot of time to resolve this. I've been saying since the beginning of the season, we got to get Juliette back to Silo 18. We thought it was going to be tunnels. We've known the tunnels exist. We had more confirmation when Lukas was telling Bernard about the tunnels in the hard drive, but we did not get any tunnel content. Juliette did not get far enough down. So that leads me to believe she will make her way back to 18 on the surface, but what about not having the good tape? Will she even make it back? Is there time in 3 episodes to get all of the water drained, explore, figure out where the tunnels are in 17, and get back to Silo 18? And let's say she does discover the tunnels. Could there be other alive silos where, I don't know, she has to fork left or fork right? Hey, we're on the yellow brick road maybe, and she makes a different decision, and say she gets over to Silo 16, discovers more people there, and our girl doesn't even get back to 18 before the end of the season. I am hoping Juliette makes it back to 18, and a question I've been asking is what happens when she gets there? Like Solo said, are they going to kill her when she gets back? Is she going to be able to sneak in and find a trusted ally in order to disseminate the information that she did survive on the surface? There is another silo out there, that when that silo had a rebellion, everybody went outside and died. Is she going to save the day? I've got to think they're not going to end the season with a major rebellion in 18 with everybody going outside and dying, because we know there are 2 more seasons left. So hopefully we will get enough action, enough resolution, and we're going to find out exactly what Salvador Quinn's letter said. But who are the descendants? That is my biggest question right now. And do they have any information? Do they themselves have a copy of The Wizard of Oz? Or is the only copy of The Wizard of Oz in there the one that was Meadows? Because if it's not on the Hey Siri AI tablet, or it's not a physical book inside of this vault, then again, why base it on The Wizard of Oz unless it has something to do with the story itself? Another storyline that happened in this episode was with Maeve and the poisoning of the food and the planting of the message with the death order for Knox and Shirley. The way that Knox lets her off and kind of says, hey, we know you did some things. We know you had a reason for doing it. So we're just going to give you some shit for a little while and remind you that you are one of us. Now, that's a leader I can get behind, showing some forgiveness, showing some leadership, but also making a difficult decision for somebody who is one of them. I'm wondering, could Knox end up being the leader of the silo if something does happen to Bernard? I just see him emerging somehow in this position of power. Storyline with Shirley and their strange romance aside, I don't know, maybe Knox is on a rise to power. Maybe somehow he ends up connecting with Billings and Hank and ends up somehow becoming a new Bernard. I don't know. I don't think they can get rid of Bernard, because Bernard is the crux of the show. Tim Robbins is such an incredible actor. He is the big bad of Silo 18, but people are starting to turn against him. Camille Sims, as I previously mentioned, but didn't that escalate fast? Camille kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know what's going to happen with her either. I'm wondering if this is a big setup where Okay, we have Juliette Nichols, a powerful woman out of the silo. We have Judge Meadows, a powerful woman from the silo who's gone now. Is this just a natural progression where we have another strong female lead rising to power to oppose Bernard? And she's going to really be the voice behind Sims, who doesn't really have a lot of power left in his position. Even as Bernie said, right? He's in a position where he just needs to do exactly what he says, keep his mouth shut. Bernard never even wanted to see the guy again, and now he's back already having to have a confrontation with him. I do think that is paving the way for more animosity between Bernard, between Sims, and really between everybody else in the silo. The only person on Bernard's side right now is Lukas, but what if Lukas uncovers this letter and also turns against Bernard? Could the rebellion be against Bernard? And if there is another rebellion and they all leave and end up dying again, I just don't think that's the case. I think it's all going to come together where the tunnels connect, Silo 17 and 18. Juliette makes her way back. But what happened to Solo? Who has him? Where is he? Did they bring him back to the vault and force him inside to give them some of this information about relics or humanity? What's the motivation? If this person has been in Silo 17 for that long, why haven't they acted sooner? Why wait until Juliette's underwater? They probably were the one who cut her rope when she had that first MacGyver incident where she was building the bridges, etc., etc. But who is this person? Why are they there? We've had the hints, but it seems late in the game. I would have liked to have seen this other mysterious person a little bit sooner. Again, we've only got 3 episodes left to even determine, is Solo okay? Is he alive? Where is he? Who is this other person? And could this other person be an ally for Juliette? Maybe they don't want the water drained because they already have access to the tunnels and that's how they came into this silo. Maybe there is a part of underground somehow that's not underwater. I've got questions and hopefully we get some more answers. So be sure you hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for my other coverage, and drop a comment and let me know, where is your head on Silo right now? What's up with the Wizard of Oz? Why do we have a Tin Man axe over in Silo 17? Could it be another book in the first place? Is Juliette going to end up getting back, and is Solo okay? I appreciated that this episode did raise more questions because I was getting a little bit burnt out on some of this back and forth. The entire last episode was all in Silo 18 aside from the last 2 minutes, so it was nice to get more 17 content. But let's bring the silos together, everybody. I appreciate you watching. Be sure to check out my coverage of Dexter Original Sin. Coming up next month, I'm going to be covering Severance on Apple TV+. So be sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, drop a comment on this video. Let me know where your head's at. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Media Melanie, clicking off.